Guys, thanks for checking out the video. If you're working on your vehicle and you need to change your rear brakes, there's a cool little trick that I learned a long time ago that in your disc brake system, typically, at least in a lot of the newer vehicles, you can't just compress that rear piston in. You can be pressing all day long, you're just going to end up damaging it, tearing the boot up. The rear piston needs to be twisted in, and I know they say you need a specific tool for it. Well, you don't need, as long as you have a pair of pliers or needle nose pliers, something where you can fit inside those little edges in there. If you look at the piston, you'll see there's two little edges that are 180 degrees away from each other. Put the pliers in, twist it, and it ends up screwing in. You just need to put some downward pressure on it, and then you're good to go, and you can move that piston in so you can put your new brake pads on so they fit over the rotor. So in this video I'll show you how it's done and some other cool little tricks when you're doing a brake job, like your slide pins, things like that. Just a complete brake maintenance job, hopefully to help you out, get you on the road quicker. Let me know what you think. Thank you. Rear brake pads, or you have to do a change your rear brake pads for your rear disc brakes. Most, if not all, of the calipers I've seen aren't the typical piston that you press in. It has to be screwed in and typically requires a special tool. So I'm going to show you today how you can get by with just a pair of needle nose pliers or something similar without having to use that special tool. So basically, if you can put either have someone hold the caliper or wedge it in against the wheel hub. Basically all you got to do, take your needle nose pliers, put them in those little spots right there, press and turn. It's easier sometimes to hold the pliers with two hands. You can control the point of the end of the needle nose. See, it just spins right in. Takes a little longer, but if it's a weekend project and you don't have the tool, which a lot of people don't have the tool to fit in here. Like I said, typical needle nose pliers or any, if you have pliers that fit inside here, really is all you need. Needle nose works the best. This is a pretty fine thread on the piston, so it takes a minute for it to get all the way in. And if it starts slipping on the inside, just kind of spread it out a little bit towards the edge. You're applying some force inward or else it's just going to spin. You have to be kind of pressing on it to get it to really screw in. Otherwise, it'll just spin around in circles. You want to make it so it's nice and flush. Alright, so we're pretty much there. Like I said, obviously, this is for if you don't have the tool. Rubber's pretty worn on this. I'm probably going to get new calipers here in the near future, but right now for this video, that was basically just to show you how to get that in. A lot of people will try to press this in if they don't have a lot of experience with doing this kind of thing, or just working on brakes in general. And you can press on that all day, and what's going to happen is you'll end up stripping the threads inside, causing more problems for you. It's not going to press in, you'll damage the piston, so it's meant to be screwed in. So basically that's pretty much it. The only other thing I'd recommend when you're doing your brakes, always make sure these slide pins are nice and clean for your rust and greased up before you put this back on. Make sure that's cleaned out. So that's all I'm going to do next. Basically, I just take like a Scotch-Brite pad and just clean these up really good. I'll take them out, I'll unscrew them from back here, take them out completely, take this boot off. I'll take this boot off, and you can see right here where that rust buildup is, just from typical use when you're driving, just all the water and everything that collects over time. So clean all that up as good as you can, re-grease this, put your boot back on, and then clean these out. One tip I would recommend for getting that cleaned out, it's pretty easy, is take a small drill bit or a small bolt, something you can put in your drill, and wrap some very fine sandpaper around it, or Scotch-Brite material, and just hone it out a little bit. Don't go too crazy, don't use anything too abrasive, but basically just clean it out. That way the grease can glide smoothly, the slide pin can glide smoothly, so this can slide back and forth, and your brakes can have equal force pressing on your rotor, and you have maximum braking power. Because what happens is this rust builds up over time, and once this is on here, it'll lock into position due to the rust, and it won't slide back and forth. Or even right here, it's pretty tight, so it definitely needs cleaned up. But you want this to be able to slide back and forth nice and smooth on here. That way, like I said before, your brake pads are being used evenly, because if it locks in place, that's when this doesn't slide, and then your brakes will have like a taper wear, or now I'm putting a new rotor on, but you can see on this rotor where the brake pad was working and where it wasn't, from where it hung up. You can see right here, or just the top part of the brake pad was working, and up back here it hadn't been really being used as much. So you have, of this whole area, only this much you're getting your brakes from. So obviously, if you keep that slide pin cleaned up and make sure that everything's nice and even, you'll be able to use all your brake pads in the wear nice and flat and evenly. So clean the slide pins up, they come out real easy. You can see right here, it's just a bolt, it comes out, and then this will come out from this way. So this bolt threads into this piece, and this will slide out. Another easy way of cleaning these up, if you have a drill press or even just using a drill, you can put this bolt in a drill and then hold a piece of Scotch-Brite pad over it, and while it spins, kind of like a lathe, it'll clean up really well. And use the recommended brake grease, something that's I mean, it's all anti-liquid, but something that's really resistant to liquid and corrosion and things like that. And if these boots are all torn, this one looks like it has a little, very small, no, that's not a tear. It's about to tear, but these boots right here, yep, this one is torn actually on the back. So I'm gonna put a new boot on. And it's real simple, they just kind of snap in place. They snap right over this, and same thing down here, they snap right over that. So it's really easy to take them off and put them on. If you can't replace it, or if you just, the parts store's closed, it is what it is. Just grease it up as good as you can, and then when you have time, maybe replace that, or if you can down the road. I guess the only other thing is to clean these up, put the brake pads on, replace the boot and the rotor, and we'll put all this back together. But if you've come this far and you're doing a brake job, it's pretty self-explanatory how to take the brake, how to do the brake job. When the caliper's on here, there's a bolt that comes through right there. There's one on the bottom as well. It comes right out there. You can take this whole caliper off, and then this, if it's free and not seized up from rust, it'll just slide right off if you break the boot free. But if not, you can always unscrew these and take this off, and your brake pads will be contained in here. They just slide right in here, and it's pretty self-explanatory from there. Just pay attention to it when you take it off, how it goes on. I mean, the brake pads only go one way. And then make sure you replace the hardware. See, it's missing a piece right there. Right here, it's missing a piece of the hardware. That snap in there in place. It's hard to do this while holding the camera, but basically they just snap in place there. Let's try doing it that way. They snap in place like that, and those keep the brake pads from rattling. They keep them nice and straight, and they're like guides for the ends of the brake pads. Talking about with maybe using a drill press, treating it like a lathe. If you put the slide pin in the end of the drill bit, the only thing you have to do is clean up that end that you can't fit, the end that's in here. You have to, when you take this out, you have to clean that part up. But this fits perfectly in there. basically till it's all nice and clean, and you get it as smooth as you can. The finer the sandpaper, the better, just to make it really smooth so there's no coarseness to it. And grease it up, put the boot back in, slide it back in. It'll slide a lot better that way. So that's kind of what I was talking about. But you can also use you can do it by hand. It just takes longer. Using the drill press or a drill or something, a lathe if you have it. Something to spin it around will help tremendously. So reassembly, obviously just the reverse of how you did everything. Now, because the parts stores are closed, I'm gonna have to use the same boots for now, but it is what it is. They'll do a good enough job. Here pretty soon I gotta do wheel bearing on this, so basically these boots just slide right on. Some people like to preload their brake pads. See how that slides back and forth? That's what you want. So let's do this, get the boots, snap those back on. There, boots are on, we're sliding nice and free. Now it's time to put the brake pads in. In case you guys are wondering, this is for a 2012 Dodge Journey. Remember what I said about the hardware? Make sure that's all on. All right. We'll get the brake pads back on, or the new ones on. Nice and flat up against the piston. And right there. So you can see new brake pads, slide pins are cleaned, hardware's been replaced, we're all set to go. And just set the rotor on and slide it on and bolt it up, so you're all set to go. Thanks for watching.